So we're going to be talking a little bit about writing graphs from absolute value equations. We've already written graphs from linear equations, just straight lines. Now we're going to do it from absolute value equations. So here's our first example. Write the equation from the graph below. So we've got this graph, we want to write the equation, but it doesn't look like anything we've seen yet. So we need to come up with a good strategy of how we're going to write this equation. First, we need some vocabulary. An absolute value function is a function that contains absolute value symbols. It looks like a V or an inverted V. You can see our example looks like an inverted V. It's kind of upside down. You know, rather than being a V like this, it's an inverted V, and that looks like our example. So our vocabulary, we talked about absolute value function. The vertex is the highest point or the lowest point. So you can see right here we have a highest point. That is our vertex. And then we have an ordered pair, which is an x and a y value that represents a point on a graph. So the ordered pair for our vertex right here would be 3. That's my x value. I went over to 3 to get to the point. So 3. And then I went down to -4. So -4 is my y value. So there's an x and a y value that create my ordered pair. Characteristics. You can see the characteristic from this graph is the graph that we're already using in the problem. It looks like a V or an inverted V. It has a vertex. It has some end behavior that we'll talk about later on. Let's get into the example. So here are my steps. I'm going to identify the vertex. I'm going to insert x in for h in the equation y equals a times x minus h plus k, and then I'm going to do step 3. So let's go ahead and just get started. Here's my vertex. I already identified it. I know that this is going to be 3, because I have to come over here to 3. 1, 2, 3, there I am. And then it's going to be -4, because I have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm on the vertex now. So I have -3, -4 is my x and my y, and I've identified the vertex. Check. Now I'm going to insert the x in for h in the equation y equals a times x minus h plus k. And these right here are the absolute value signs. So I go ahead and just type that in, and I've got y equals a, absolute value of x, minus h. What's my h? This is now h, and this is k. So x is h, so it's -3. And then plus, sorry, I'll stop here. I've still got plus k. And now I'll do step 3. Insert the y, -4, in for k. That's k. K is now y, which is -4, into the equation. So I have y equals a times x minus 3 plus -4. We cannot have two signs at once, so I'll rewrite that as y equals a, x minus 3 minus 4. And I am done. This a right here we'll use later. We don't need it right now, so I can remove that. And what I would type into the computer is just y equals absolute value bar, x minus 3, absolute value bar, minus 4. The absolute value bar is right above the enter key on most computers. Now some common errors that you'll see. Ignoring the negative before the h in the equation y equals a times x minus h plus k. So I know my vertex here is going to be 3, -4. So some people will just go ahead and say, oh, that means it's y equals the absolute value of x plus 3 minus 4. I got a plus 3 and a minus 4. That is wrong. Common error. That's wrong. It's an error. It's an error. Don't make this a positive 3 just because that's a positive 3. That's an error. What you need to do is you need to make sure that you use the equation with the subtraction sign there to write it correctly as y equals x minus 3, x minus 3 minus 4. That's all you have to do on your homework. Pretty straightforward. If you have questions, feel free to message each other on Schoology. Feel free to send me a message. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I'm excited to see you guys in class tomorrow and see how well you did.